Welcome back. If you're new to this channel, we are Kendall and Glenn and we're circumnavigating Australia in our VW van named Vance.
We are currently in Agnes Water where we're riding out the coronavirus with isolation, and we've received a fair few questions about our kitchenette, so we thought we'd just do a whole video discussing the ins and outs of it and how we use it, how we built it and the features of it.
So because Vance is a relatively small van, we knew that we wanted to cook outside, but we also didn't want to have to set up a kitchen and a stove every single time that we wanted to cook anything. So that's why we made everything compact, sitting in this rear-facing bench seat. The kitchenette itself is secured with these two leather straps that we have screwed in on the top and then connected with buttons. You can get these at any hardware store. We just fold those under there, and then we can pull the kitchenette out.
So we can lift up the rear-facing bench seat to see what's inside. Basically the compartments are the kitchenette itself. We also have some extra room where we wouldn't be able to have the kitchenette to continue because it would be blocked by the edge of the panel, so we just use it for some extra storage for extra little things. Our stove lives in here and is connected through a gas line, with our gas bottle being just in here under the sink. Now rather than having to pull the gas bottle out every time, we just have a longer gas lead that we have to be able to connect to the stove from under the sink to our kitchenette once it's pulled out. So to be able to pull it out, we just need to free up the gas line, which is just in here. So once I untangle it from here, I can then slide out the kitchenette. And that way I've now got my gas line that I can then connect to the gas tank, and then I connect it to the stove up the other end. So for it to still be structurally strong, because obviously this is still a bench seat and it's taking a fair bit of load, I wanted to make sure that it was still nice and solid, but we still had to run through the gas line. So all I needed to do was just get some bigger drill bits and bore out two holes here and here that it just runs straight through. There's still a bit of wiggle room, so I'm not going to get any wear on the gas line, and then it just comfortably goes straight through to the gas cylinder, no worries at all. Because we are limited in the space that we have here, the kitchenette could only be so long. So to get a little extension, we just use one of these compartments to store, among other things, an extension table that we use. So we just pull this guy out and pop it on here. We thought about how we would get an extension for this table, whether we'd use it on a big bracket and things like that, but it just made the end very messy and it became a lot easier for us to just have this slim bit of timber. But we needed something that would be quite solid to be able to hold serving dishes or pans or anything like that. So we just went to a marine sort of boat store where they have these brackets here. Now so these separately get screwed into the solid base, which is our kitchenette. And these guys end up slipping straight down into there, and I think their rating is quite heavy. I think like 15 to 20 kilos, so a fair bit of weight we can put on there for such a small sort of extension, and it seems to do a really good job in extending the kitchenette.
So once the kitchenette is pulled out, we can lift up the top and that's where we access the stove, but we wanted to make the most of the space, so we also put in a few shelves, which is where we access everyday items and things that we need when we're cooking.
So to finish setting up the stove, all we need to do is pull it out of here. The gas lead's already here and I've already created a hole that it slips through so we can still close it without pinching the gas line. So I just push that aside, pull out the stove like so, drop this down, and now we're ready to set up the stove. So then all we need to do, pop this up, use the connector that we've got here, connect that in there, and then I've got my gas line coming through my little hole that I then screw in here. Now that might seem a little bit tedious, but when it's an everyday thing, it's actually pretty quick and simple, just like so. Then we turn the gas on. Are we ready to cook? The current stove we've got is a Coleman Hyperflame. We got it for half price, which was a really good buy. One of the more expensive stoves, but I definitely wouldn't buy it again. There's a lot of power behind it, but there's really no difference between the low setting and the high setting. It's basically like a rocket the entire time. And the first stove, for some reason, and this seems to be a problem that I've heard and seen online, that it just makes this really high-pitched whistle noise when you first start using it, which is super annoying, particularly when there's people about or you're trying to sort of be discreet while cooking in a public place. It's just this crazy high-pitched noise. Also, it's just super clunky and big. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. I'd say getting more of a streamlined one. I don't know how the other Coleman ones are, but I wouldn't recommend this one. So obviously the construction of the entire kitchenette weighs a little bit anyway. Then we've got rices, pastas, coffees, liquids, plus a stove, and then also we're intending on cooking large meals on it. So the amount of weight this has to hold is quite considerable. Because of such, we had some really heavy duty drawer tracks put in. I think the rating is like 90 or 95 kilos. I don't know what that is, 185, 190 pounds. So it can take a fair bit, and I tried to make the kitchenette as light as possible with a slightly thinner timber but still structurally sound. But I would definitely recommend do not go skimping on the tracks, because the last thing you'd want to do is put a heavy pot of pasta or something on the end and the whole thing just busts. So far it's done us really well. If anything, I would have even gone more heavy duty if it didn't mean that we would take out even more space when it came to the width of the kitchenette in the end. So this was our happy medium. I don't imagine we're going to have anything more than 90 kilos on this thing. So that's our kitchenette. It's probably our favorite part of the build, and obviously something that we use every single day.
If you have any specific questions on it, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. We're more than happy to answer. But for now, we're going to go make some French toast. So that's our kitchenette.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
So that's our kitchenette.
Yeah.